KSM Show.
My name is Mugabe Mase, commander of the airwaves in Ghana, the award-winning talk show host of the year. I always watch KSM Show, the king of the prime time, on Metro TV every Fridays from 9 p.m.
We're back. I'm hanging out with my son, who is now hanging out here with me. And just before the commercial break, he was talking about the program he started as part of the morning show called Let's Speak English.
Let's Speak English.
And you made some interesting thing before we went. So the word for butcher.
There are so many. I don't remember too many of them, but there's a very common one that I often hear the politicians say. You know, they go, the brouhaha. And it sounds so hard. We fail to recognize, what would I call them? Stress patterns in this country. And you can't really blame us, because when you look at our local languages, the Cree, the Ava, the northern languages, the Dagmanis and the rest, we seem to have languages that are on the same plane. Kwame, you don't, but when you want to pronounce a word like stipulate, it is not stipulate, no, it is stipulate. So that is where we get it wrong. So instead of brouhaha, I like to go brouhaha. There are so many of them. I mean, they just don't come to mind, but there are so many of them I listen to. And the expressions, we kill them. One thing we should know about expressions in any language, they are fixed. You don't go changing them. One common one, people go like with regards to. You only use regard with an S when you're expressing sentiments to someone, to be sure. So my regards to Asemesi. But when you use the expression, it is with regard to.
Yeah.
But everyone wants to say the wrong thing. Unfortunately, and it might sound like a jab, but it isn't. In recent times, I think the very last address of His Excellency the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Mr. Flowery English, he's good at his stuff.
Yes.
I see that look on your face. So, one of the lines Mr. President said, and be rest assured. It's another one we butcher in this country. You can't, there's no reason for a B there, the auxiliary. We don't use that. Rest assured. But you hear everywhere, you hear professors, be rest assured. You hear this person, this and that. And I've become inured to it, basically. I've just realized that, Ghana Niwoyo, this is Ghana for you. And me and my Abafosem, I'll try to speak what is right, but you can't expect everybody to do that. So those are just a few that, off the top of my head, I can speak of.
So you said with that segment, how long was it, a segment on the show?
It still is on the show. It's been there for maybe 4 years.
Really?
Running every weekday, Monday to Friday at around 6:55.
Okay.
It was my little way of contributing to help people speak better. And believe you me, I've got calls from the likes of Professor Alade Wasonu, Ivan Adai-Mensah, former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Reverend Joyce I, Dr. Joyce I mean, this is just to mention a few of, but so many people have got back to me and said, oh, you just reminded me of this. I forgot it. These heyday things, and others would also get in touch. Oh, I never knew this was that. And you've just taught me something there. Another one that comes to mind, we often say, happy belated birthday. It's belated happy birthday.
Belated happy birthday. This I am learning now.
You say happy birthday, the belated comes first. But it's a very common thing that people say happy belated birthday instead of belated happy birthday.
And then I see.
Yeah.
I see. And new things coming in. We are changing butchering the whole thing off the light.
Oh yes. But you see, you can err in certain ways, but some of them you need to be crucified. No, some of it. Off the light it is linguistic. It is linguistically criminal. You should be put in a linguistic jail for that.
But it's common now. It's been accepted now.
It is, and it's everywhere.
And on it.
And on it, off it, on it. It's terrible. And one thing I realize, again, reading, because we don't read, and sometimes we read the wrong things.
Yeah.
In our newspapers, I often see mistakes. Even in a newspaper as credible as the Daily Graphic, you would often spot mistakes here and there. I remember famously, I'll never forget, front page of the Daily Graphic. I'm not trying to take on the Daily Graphic here, but front page of the Daily Graphic, and they're talking about a dining hall, like in a secondary school or something, and dining is spelled D-I-N-N-I-N-G. And I felt sad that day. And if I just don't recall the date, but I remember clearly that it was, and I felt it was terrible. But Daily Graphic, very credible, newspaper. But I just feel that we don't have high standards when it comes to language. And sometimes too, the lafa is the other extreme. Instead of, I just try to pronounce my words properly and work with concord grammatically. But some people too think, oh, when you do the lafa, if you don't know what lafa is, you should ask locally acquired foreign accent. Then it makes you sound all polished.
Koroko, that kills me.
Which one is that?
Koroko, Kotoko.
Oh, the Koroko people. Koroko. Yeah. You know, it's the Kumerican trend. Now it's
Speaking of Kumerican, man, let me pick.
Have you got your visa yet? To Kumerica, passport, visa.
To Kumerica,
yeah.
No,
I hear they are issuing, so
I'm not going there.
You are not.
I'm going to Kumasi. I never go to Kumerica.
I hear they have Las Vegas and all these places, Brooklyn, the Bronx, you know.
Bronx.
Yeah, it's all hippie now in Kumasi, in the Ashanti region.
I think that this is a generation, man.
Yeah.
I think this is where they've lost it. I'm sorry. You know, because when it comes to that, I really, really, really do feel that that's the only problem Nkrumah made error is he thought that getting independence means that mentally we are independent.
Oh, right, yeah.
But we are not.
No, that is
colonial. You know, and the whole Kumerica thing, and they have Okonfanochi as the Statue of Liberty. Okonfanochi,
the Statue of Liberty,
should be his own. There should be a history. The golden, so you can't compare that to what happened.
But speaking of history, do we have a history? I pose that question intentionally. Of course, we do have a history, but very rich history.
Yeah.
But we pay no mind to it.
No.
I'll give you a typical example. I have a friend who works in the Kumasi area, the Ashanti region, not necessarily Kumasi specifically, and she got in touch recently. Pharmacist, so she's working on a certain project, and she said something that made me sad. You know the sword of Okonfanochi, which was sunk in a rock, and supposedly, she says she went to visit the site where it is, and a bit of weeds going around, and the place unkempt, and she says even the sword is going rusty. It broke my heart because that is cultural heritage right there. We talk about, we don't know how to harness tourism in this country. Honestly, I've been to a country like Cuba, where because of the US embargo, tourism is one of the things that they are holding on to. And what they are doing in touristic, ends, it will blow your mind. I saw some figurines, artwork, articrafts in your office, and I told you they are exceptional at those. Here we have so much that we are not capitalizing on. Even look at our local dialects, the number of them, hundreds of them. We can play with these. Look at so many things that we can actually monetize in this country, and that is one of them right there. What are we doing with it? Can you imagine what some Western or Eastern country, they would quickly form some sort of museum, do something with it? There's this place up north, I've forgotten whether it's the Upper West, Upper East, or the Northern region, but Nkrumah back in the day used to go and, as we say, chillax, relax in that place. It still is standing. It's a place where he would go for some peace and all of that. That could have been turned into a museum. We could have done so many things with that, but you know what? Whether for political reasons or merely out of stupidity, it is rotting away while we could earn money out of that. Look, I'm even saying that sometimes you can turn a bad situation into a good one. We've been talking about witch camps in recent times with the likes of Ibrahim Maria, who was recently beaten mercilessly, almost killed. We saw one, Madam Ekiadente, who was actually killed, the 90-year-old woman. And other instances that we hear of from time to time. I spoke to the gender minister, for example, and one thing that came up was that these witch camps, in a way, are safe havens for these women. But even if we're going to shut them down, like some people have suggested, don't just shut them down and let the buildings dilapidate. You can use them. The whole world has condemned us as being probably the only country with witch camps. How about we turn those into museums and monetize them? Turn a bad situation into a good one.
How it looked like. We don't get it.
Just like we're doing with the castles. Elmina and the rest, slavery and all of that. So this is a vestige of it. We are monetizing it. I think we're very poor at that as a country, from the leadership end and even from the followership end. And it's no surprise we are where we are.
Yeah. We don't get it. I remember I went to the US to this, I think it's supposed to be a what is that? Museum. They call it a museum.
Right.
You know, to keep everything related, news stuff. So
a news museum.
Yes. So I went to this, it was this very popular broadcaster. Oh, I'm not getting the name, but his whole office has been set up in this museum. The pens that he used to write with are all there, and it's just amazing going and seeing how their office looked like back then, so many hundreds of years ago. The pens they used, and we pay money to go and look at this.
In the UK, I think the Bronte sisters, authors, there's something like that. I mean, a lot of these, authors, people even that you wouldn't say are of such consequence, they find ways of immortalizing them. Look at Nkrumah. What have we really done with him? We could have been making so much more out of Kwame Nkrumah. Yet we are not.
Can you believe the car that Nkrumah rode in at Independence as the first prime minister? That car is parked at by where he was buried. The museum.
The
mausoleum, and it's rusting away because of the wind from the sea. That car is an American car.
That is money right there, and we're throwing it away.
Sitting there.
So it's the mindset. Sometimes on radio, I do something called a piece of my mind, and I lambast the system. And people think, oh, this is just a young man who wants to rant and rave. No, it's not like, I was sharing this morning that I'm kind of like Ezekiel. There are many Ezekiels in the system. Ezekiel was like a watchman, a prophet, yes, but a watchman, watching to ensure that the people were following the right path. They were on the right track, what God told him. I am not, perfect. I have my own foibles as well. But I'm trying to say that sometimes when you've been places and you come here and you see what we have and our output, what we are doing, versus what others have. And look, Israel is full, it's a rocky land. But look at what they are doing in IT, agriculture. It boggles your mind. But you come here, we have the arable land, we have the mineral resources, we have the energetic human resource. Our population is about 60% youth. What are we doing with it? The youth can't even find jobs. People are resorting to all manner of things just to, get by. And it's really sad.
Wow.
Very sad.
Put your hands together, man. Last week and this week has been exciting in that way because my guest, so young guy, your age, and the ideas that they are coming with makes me happy. Because at least I get a sense that, okay, maybe the future is not that bleak. Because this is the kind of thinking we need to set things right, So I'm always elated. And I'm glad that both of you are on radio and at least imparting some kind of knowledge.
Hopefully.
Oh, yes, you are definitely, So for those of you who want to catch
Benjamin Akakpo on the Executive Breakfast Show.
Breakfast Show.
Every morning, 5:50 to 10 a.m. So that's weekdays, 5:50 to 10 a.m. Talking for 4 hours, 10 minutes.
What's the toughest part of your job? Being on radio? Your toughest?
Working everything out. Now, here's the thing. Normal day, routine day, you get in the studio. Of course, you have to do your research. You have to be on top of issues and all of that. But perhaps that isn't as tricky as putting side by side all the elements you have to put side by side on the show. So one person, I'm working 2 or 3 computers at a go sometimes. So you have, yes, there are producers, there are assistant producers who are helping, prompting you, but with one brain and one set of hands, you have to coordinate so much. You are looking at WhatsApp messages, you are checking stuff on Google, on the spur of the moment, you are doing some, last minute analysis, you are looking at the feed where the advertisements must go, you are looking at the music and what must play next and what must not play next, whether it's ready. You are managing a console. And in our studio, we're blessed with, one of the best BBC standard consoles. You have to manage that. It's tricky in itself. Then you have your guests in the studio and you have to interact. You have to be intelligent. You have to think on your feet, though you are sitting. And all manner of things. It's tricky. It takes time, it takes experience, and sometimes you listen to radio and we make certain mistakes that we see. You don't even know that we've made mistakes. It's fun. It's fun. And the whole element of not being seen. You know, on radio, you can get all crazy now. Yes, Facebook Live and all of that.
Facebook Live,
but sometimes the whole element of not being seen. So we can even do something that someone's reaction and you don't see it. It's all good. But on TV, everything goes. It's all steady.
Can you imagine playing a commercial on radio and then people are seeing the kinds of...
And sometimes those things happens, you know. Oh, that commercial.
Wow. So this person that encouraged you to get on radio, are you in touch? And she's so happy that I told you.
She is. She's making great strides herself in the travel industry. And I never fail to tell her, you know, usually when I'm celebrating this or that, or I win an award or something of the sort, I call her, hey, this is you right there. Like, I'm still thanking. I mean, at some point, she begins to act as though, look, if I were white, you'd get me blushing. But I appreciate her in that manner because I feel without her, I wouldn't have come, you know, this far to this point. God uses people. I've always said, like I shared with you earlier, that I don't believe in self-made men or women. You can do a lot in your life. That's not to say you mustn't work hard at what you do. That is to say that you must put in your best, but at some point you will need someone
some shoulders
to hold your hand and take you to the next level. You need someone on whose shoulders you, just as children are placed on the shoulders of their parents, on which shoulders you will ride and get to the next point. That is why I would like to, I think I might as well mention her name, Francesca Piaget, and you know, thank her immensely because it's through her orchestration, if you like, her keeping at me that do this, that I ended up on radio, and it didn't turn out badly at all. The likes of Robert Israel, my executive producer now, he still works with me. He is also my general manager who has kept faith in me, gave me the opportunity to be on the morning show. Eddie Smith, as well, our head of programs. Sedemofori, I can't leave him out. Back then, he was, you know, the head of programs. All of these people gave me opportunities because while my friend said, give it a try, it was up to them to say, okay, let us also take you on. Let's give you a try. They did, and it turned out well. So I salute them, and this journey goes on. It goes on.
Show some love, man. And you know our industry, and you can hear a sharpshooter when you hear them. You know, when I'm talking about sharpshooter, people who know what they are talking about, who are prepared, who have researched. And I'm saying that to say that there's always like a rush to poach such people. And I'm just thinking, are you expressing a rush or poachers? Or
this table you actually came like you say, Okay, so over the years, I've got interest from different quarters.
Okay.
Different people. Of course, when I meet people who just hear the sound of me and they think, wow, who is that person?
Yeah.
I feel I'm just another Yao out there. I'm a Thursday born, just another Yao contributing my bit. I don't really look at myself and think anything. I am so much of anything.
Yao, I'm sorry.
Of my own. So I do get interest over the years. I've got interest from different quarters, and I still do. And only God knows.
Only God knows
where next.
We are planning, but he may be laughing.
You know.
Let's talk about your private life. I mean, when you're not on radio, I know you like traveling, you like languages.
Yeah.
What's the private? You're not married yet, are you?
No, I'm not.
But is there
no
potential?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
So the thing is, I think I've made myself too busy. I have my hands in quite a number of things. I do MC work. Sometimes even multilingual MC work. Yeah. I translate, I proofread, I write books. I have quite a number of stories, short stories, you know, full-length stories that I have drafted, put together, manuscripts, if you like, that I've not published yet. I have a whole lot on my hands. I just completed my studies. Well, there's, like I said, a little bit that I need to work on at the University of Ghana when it comes to my legal studies, 3 years. I am still working on my MBA. So I have my hand in quite a number of things. And I think I shouldn't say that keeps me from expressing, myself romantically. But I think being in a relationship is a full-time job on its own. People take it for granted. I don't like doing things haphazardly, just as I think I may have to slow down a bit when I have children, because I don't want to be the type who has children, yet you are not having time for them. You're chasing the paper, but what happens to the little ones? They need your time. Sometimes we're so focused on the money.
So I
want it for my family.
Is
but
it that the opportunities have come, but you have closed your minds?
Opportunities in the opportunities but you see, that's the thing. I'm Christian, and you need to be cautious. You need to be disciplined. In my line of work, they would quickly tell you that, once you're out there, people know you, they hear your voice. If you don't discipline yourself, you end up doing so many things you shouldn't. And here's something I've realized. When you enter an industry, learn from people who have been there before you. There have been people too who, owing to their hubris, pride, have fallen. There's a saying that pride goes before a fall. There are people who have not been disciplined in terms of handling success, who have been reduced from hero to zero. So it's a fine line. Enjoy the celebration, enjoy all of that, but know your stop point, your limit. And people are people, so don't take advantage. Honestly, if I were the bad type, I think I could have taken advantage, but it's not a good thing to do. It's not the disciplined thing to do.
In short, Papa Lee, good.
I am a good Papa.
Finally, before you leave,
right.
Your parents, mom, dad, mom.
Okay, so that's an interesting one to leave for last. My mom, yes, she's still alive, knocking on 70, really? 60 plus, knocking on 70, entering her mid 60s actually. Wonderful person, pillar in my life, basically.
And her name?
Susie.
Susie. Okay.
Susie Akakpo. And I would always say that without her, I don't know where we, the children, would have been. 3 boys. Our father passed when I was 6.
Okay.
And my older brothers were 13, 14, thereabouts. This was in Liberia. Now, owing to my father's work, we traveled quite a bit as children. Wonderful experiences. And it was unfortunate what happened that eventually had him lose his life. But yes, so like I said, my father, wonderful personality. I remember I was very little, I don't know how old, but I definitely wasn't up to 6 then. He would actually pit me against my older brothers who were 7, 8 years older than I am. In terms of dictation, I remember like it was yesterday.
Wow.
All of that formed me, and there was a point where now I became so good that they didn't want to take me on. But that was the experience. He gave me a very solid foundation in terms of academics. He started us off on the faith. We're Catholic, and proudly so. And we've not, deviated from that. We still stick to those, principles of being the best you can, earning, striving to work, and then earning what you deserve, not trying to cut corners to make something. Unfortunately, that's a thing today.
That's a thing today.
The leaders are doing it, and so young people also think,
that's the way to do it.
If they are doing it, why not us? It's not the right way to go. And so my parents, fantastic. Unfortunately, my father isn't alive now. We miss him, but life happens. Man proposes, God disposes. But my mom, Susie Akakpo, I know you're watching.
Show some love, man. Susie Akakpo.
I just want to say God bless her. I wouldn't be here today speaking all this fancy brofo and if it weren't for her and her sacrifices for us, the children.
Fantastic. Well, let me say a big thank you to finally get to sit down with you one-on-one like this.
Right.
You're full of so much, no matter how much you think you've done, I think the best is yet to come. No, I'm sorry for saying I think. I know the best is yet to come. I like your vim. I like your passion. I like your dedication. And I like the fact that you are doing so many things. You become so more like a jack of all trades, a master of most of them, if not all of them. Keep it up, man.
But KSM, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on your show. Like I said, this is quite a feeling. Watching you on television many years ago, over a decade ago, and to be on this show. It is a privilege. I've known you for a while, but it's a privilege to be in this space on the KSM show.
Yeah. Show some love, man. And that was Benjamin Akakpo, and he is the host of the Executive Breakfast Show on Class. That's 91.3. 91.3. And like I said, the best is yet to come. And so keep doing what you're doing. And you're awesome, man.
Same.
So until we meet next week, let me have this test and see how much you watch me and tell me if you remember how I sign off my show. How do I do it?
Okay, so you go something like, okay, until catch you next week, and we are out of here. You know, you put me on the spot right there. But at least I remember that part.
You did. Well done. Okay, folks, that's it. See you next week.